I decided to modify my PC case to improve airflow to my GPU because things were getting a little bit too toasty in there. And at the end of this, we'll do some testing and see if all my effort was worth it. So this was the starting point of the PC. It was already kind of modified at this point because I was already trying to improve the cooling for the GPU. I moved the radiator to the top of the PC, put intake fans in the front to just try to maximize airflow into the case. What you see me tracing out the front panel on here is corrugated plastic. There's two main reasons why I did this. One, it was cheap. It only cost about $12 for this thing. And two, it was kind of easy to cut. I was originally going to go with like acrylic plexiglass for this just to make the build look a little cleaner, a little nicer. But ultimately the plexiglass that was about the same size as this was about like $28. And I was going to have them still cut it down to the exact size I needed. There was nothing like close to the size of my panel, which ultimately worked out better because now I only had to spend half the price of what I thought I was going to. And that was a big deal because going into this experiment, I didn't really want to spend that much money on it just in case it didn't work. Alright, and this is what we're working with. My GPU is a 2080 Super, and here you'll see this is how I am planning to get direct airflow into the GPU. I am going to be facing the fans right to the front of the case, and I'm going to have to do a little bit of modification to the case here. So I actually have to go in and line up exactly where I want the GPU to sit and start cutting away at the metal grate in the back. And now it's time for the moment of truth. First things first, we're going to make sure it turns on. And so far so good. I mean, the fan's kicked on. You'll see here in a second, it is actually booting up. The one thing I was kind of worried about after getting it all put together is that there wasn't going to be any video output. I was kind of worried about the riser cables. First time I've ever used one. But as you'll see here, boom, video output. So we are ready to go. So that was a success. So now we're going to go ahead, take a quick little peek of it, and you'll see that the air is coming in from the front just fine. And then on the side here, yeah, I had to actually kick up the fans a little bit higher so that you could see the visual of them intaking there. Perfect. Now let's do some thermal testing. For the testing, I'm using Fortnite. So as you're seeing here, I am maxing out all the graphic settings, putting everything as high as I can to really put as much load on the GPU as possible. There's going to be 3 rounds of testing. One with the fans fixed at 40% speed, 60% speed, and then lastly 80% speed. And we'll see how the temperatures are before the modification that I've done and after. Let's check it out. Alright, and after all our testing's been done, I have some interesting results. So let's take a look at the graphs here. And these are the numbers from the test. So I actually ran 3 different tests. One before the PC modification, one after the modification, and then one without the filter installed in the front of the case. So with the fan set at 40% speed, we had a max temperature of 71 degrees before the modification was done. Afterwards, we had a max of 79 degrees, and then without the filter, for some reason, it actually shot up to 72 degrees. And next, with the fan set at 60% speed before the modification was done, max temperature of 63 degrees. Afterwards, 61 degrees, and then without the filter, same trend, it actually went back up and we had 63 degrees in the max temp. And at 80% speed, we kind of just topped out, I think, at what the fans could do, because we just flatlined 57 degrees max temperature in each scenario, before, after, and without the filter. I still don't have an idea why the temperatures actually went back up without the filter at those lower fan speed, but if anyone has an idea of why that could have happened, leave it in the comments below. Now that all the testing was done, I had to answer a question: was this worth it? And based off the numbers alone, I would say no. And that's because I feel like my results were probably within a margin of error. At the lower fan speeds, I did gain a little bit more cooling by a couple degrees, but once the fans had to kick up to 80%, which is where they kind of go when I normally have my fan curve set anyways, there wasn't any benefit from my modification. However, I do not take this as a complete loss, because what this actually let me do is make my PC look normal again. I know for a fact that before I put all those intake fans and mounted my radiator to the top of the case like you saw in the beginning of the video here, the GPU was really hot. Like, it was going into like the mid 70s when I put it under the same type of load. And obviously I fixed the cooling by what I've done already, by putting all those intake fans in the front, putting my radiator to the top. Why I take this as a win now is because I can actually make my PC look normal again. I can put the radiator back in the front. And now with the slightly improved cooling from this PC modification, I no longer have to leave my radiator on the top and the fans mounted to the exterior, and it looks normal again. So I take that all as a win. So in the end, I actually do have to change my answer to yes, it was worth it. Ultimately though, my main goal wasn't to purely just make the cooling better. That was kind of secondary. The main reason I wanted to do this was for fun. I had the idea pop in my head and I wanted to make it a reality instead of just leaving it as an idea, because that's what I normally would have done. I would have thought about it, thought that was a cool idea, but never would have pursued it. So I'm glad I actually forced myself to do it, and I had a lot of fun during this process, and it was fun doing the experiment as well, seeing what the results were. So I hope this video acts as an encouragement to all those people who have ideas that pop in their head but they don't end up pursuing them. I would say just do it. You're going to have a lot of fun, and you're going to learn things along the way that are probably going to be worth more than just the end results of what you're doing. From this process, a bunch more ideas have popped into my head that I will now pursue as well, because I've had so much fun doing this one. I want to keep this going. So that's where this channel's going to be headed. Whatever random idea pops in my head, I'm just going to do it. And it's probably going to be more geared towards PC related things. As a sneak peek, there's going to be some modifications to my gaming chair that I'm going to do to give me some more comfort. So if you enjoyed watching this video, I hope you stick around to subscribe and see what else I come up with in the future. I'll see you later.